How you doing? It's going good.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. It's good, yeah. So what are you going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about saving Minnesota from a career politician. Same thing we talk about every time.
Okay.
So I'm excited to meet the group that's here and answer questions, really.
Okay, so when's your next events coming up?
Right after this.
Yeah.
But, we have a big one this weekend, actually, for a lot of our volunteers. It's at Quinny's.
Oh, okay.
Saturday, 6 to 8.
6 to 8. I was trying to pull up the exact time.
Okay, so
I know
Quinny's.
Stuff that day, but yeah,
Yep.
6 to 8
I
at
was-
Quinny's. So that's
yeah,
where I
I was
want
invited
folks
that
to
one
show
night.
up.
And that's Quinny's and where?
North St. Paul. I
St.
North St. Paul, so people are invited to go to
Right by
that.
Century College. Yeah, we can come by.
Okay.
All right, everyone hear me okay? All the patrons downstairs buying pop and stuff will get to hear me as well. So it's a pleasure to meet all of you guys tonight. This is kind of my neighborhood. My practice is just up the road in St. Anthony, where Patrick Plaza used to be. I live not terribly far from here in North Oaks, and there's a period of time we kind of lived in Northeast Minneapolis when we were having work on our house. So this is home. Love this place. Chimborazo is one of my favorite restaurants in the whole Twin Cities. Yes, I think maybe it is the best. It certainly is on. So fond memories of being here and around here. So it's a pleasure to be in front of you today. My name is Neil Shaw, and I'm running to save the state that I love with the career politicians Tim Walz and the Radical Left. And with your hope, with your support, I believe we can do it. We have a historic opportunity here in Minnesota. The way the board's been laid out, the left's inability to do anything reasonable in terms of governance, Brandon's desire to run this country into the ground in Washington, and Tim Walz's inability to lead here, leads us with a historic opportunity to do something special. Not just win a statewide race for the first time in 26 tries, but also to start the process of turning the state red for good. And that's really the goal. Not just win one election. There's a reason my entire campaign is predicated around saving Minnesota. It's not one person, one campaign, one election cycle. It's a multi-year, multi-decade project to put the state on a better footing for our kids, for family. I'm in this race because of 3 little kids on the back of that pamphlet that you have. 3 kids and my wife. My wife was born and raised in White Bear Lake. I was born and raised in a suburb of Chicago to Indian immigrant parents who came here with nothing. And like all of your forebears, came here with nothing and built something. That's the American dream. That dream is very much alive. But it's in danger. It's in danger of the radical left indoctrinating our kids to hate. It's in danger of the career political class doing what's good for them in St. Paul instead of what's good for you here in London Heights. And it's in danger of people forgetting the sacrifice of millions of Americans over hundreds of years to build this great country. But we can fight back. We know we have the better message. But the messenger matters. Someone who's not a career politician. Someone who's willing to go out there and clearly explain why conservative values should resonate with more and more Minnesotans, particularly in communities that we have not typically done very well. We have a winning message. How do we deliver? How do we get victory this election? How do we get victory every election after this? That's my goal. Not just one election, not one man. I've got a great day job. But I think the time is right for someone who's not a political insider to step out of their comfort zone, to take that first step in putting Minnesota on a better footing for the future. So with your support, I believe we can do that. I believe we can save Minnesota. And I believe we can get Tim Walz out next November. So I would love for you guys to have the opportunity to answer questions. I think we've got a little bit of time, right, Bridget?
Yes.
So that's really what I think is most valuable. And so I'd like you to ask easy questions, hard questions. Let's start here.
I would like to know, you've got the red state, the red areas, but what are you going to with Hennepin County and Ramsey County? Those 2 counties will target specifically, which control the state.
Right.
What's your approach?
So the pitch is simple. Do you want to do the same thing you've been doing for 50 years and miraculously expect some kind of different result out of it? Redistributive policies have driven businesses out. Progressive policies like a minimum wage that is not at market levels drives businesses out and then impoverishes the people who live here.
You have to do some education on that one.
You do have to do some education on it. You have to explain to people that these policies may sound good on a piece of paper, but they end up destroying communities at the end of the day. And what we promise is opportunity. What the left promises is certain amount and a ceiling. So if you choose us, you have no ceiling. If you choose the left, you have a hard cap. We don't want you making too much money. We don't want you thinking for yourselves. You got to stay on the plantation.
So you'll approach Hennepin County with mailings, first appearances, how are you going to hit that
You're going to help.
intersection?
You're going to help. Okay, so people who live in these communities, you have those connections. We have a winning bet. We have to be able to go to these communities credibly and say, look, we are not a party of a bunch of racist people like you hear on TV from the legacy movement. We are people who fundamentally care about the welfare of every Minnesotan. And we want as much opportunity for you as possible. That starts with getting your schools to actually teach, not indoctrinate. Getting your streets safe, not pandering to the radical left, providing economic opportunity so that everyone can get rich.
Yeah. The governor has a lot of sway over what happens with the budget. What things would you like to cut out of the budget? Where's the fat?
Where isn't the fact? So, you know just as well as I. Here's how the conversation goes between the so-called Republicans in St. Paul and the Democrats. Hey, the budget is $50 billion. The Democrats say we want it at 53. The Republicans say we like it at 51. Those are both the wrong answers. The correct answer is it should start with a 4. And then in a decade, it should start with a 3. Under the so-called leadership of the person you hear from after me, Senator Gazelka, we've nearly doubled the budget in a little over a decade. That is not conservative leadership. That is not appropriate. And in addition to increasing the size and scope of the budget, we've increased the regulatory state. So now you have to go ask the folks in St. Paul, the unelected bureaucrats, about what to do with your farmland, what to do with your business, how to best manage your staff, what to pay them, whether you're going to start from containers. This is the administrative state of work, and it has to be cut back. And our taxes are out of control. Who is going to stay in the state after completing schooling at one of our great institutions? Who's going to stay in the state after starting a successful business? When you have Wisconsin next door, you have Dakotas next to us, you have Iowa, all of them with significantly better tax policies. We have one of the highest personal income tax rates in the state. We have a death tax that's prohibitively high. We have a cap gains tax that's taxed like ordinary income. All of these things drive people away. All of these things ensure that your grandkids and my kids and your kids will not have a burdened economic environment to grow up in. And we have to push back on all of them. So how does that happen? We have a line item veto. So if Senator Gazelka wants to pass on an omnibus and Senator Benson wants to vote for it, and so does Jensen, that's fine. When he gets the governor's desk, he gets cut. Because I'm Sharpie. I can cut whatever I want that has a budgetary number after. You know why that doesn't get exercised very often? Because we send career politicians to St. Paul. They're like, well, maybe this is the end of my political career if I do the right thing and cut this budget. It's not a career. It's a job. Do your damn job. Cut the budget. So this is how the conversation starts the first budgetary year I'm in. You are going to cut 5% from this budget, or I'm going to cut 5% of this budget. I have a Sharpie. Do your job. I don't care about having this position. I'm a skin cancer reconstructive surgeon. I'll go back to doing that. You do your job and you cut this budget, or I will. And that's the kind of leadership that we don't have in our party. It's not the kind of leadership we have in St. Paul. It's what happens when we put career politicians there who don't have a day job, interested in simply staying in power. Are they going to take a chance? Are they going to stand up for conservative values? Are they going to stand up for cutting the budget, standing up for the unborn, standing up for the Second Amendment right? They're not going to do any of those things.
Medical freedom?
Medical freedom, any of these, because they're not politically speaking. So Senator Gazelka complained all day about, hey, I passed voter ID even though I knew that couldn't pass the House, couldn't pass the governor. Where was the vote on Second Amendment reform? Where was the vote on Second Amendment rights? Where was the vote on cutting back the budget? All to protect some rhinos? Make better choices. Send better people to St. Paul. Send a fighter who's going to deliver different results. So who's going to take out that Sharpie, cut the budget, and get us the state that we need. Will it be easy? No. The best possible scenario in the state is we win with 50-point-something% of the vote, but it is doable. And now is the best chance that we're going to have to act. So with your help and the right candidate, we can get the Virginia result here.
If New Jersey can do it,
If New Jersey can do it, if a truck driver in New Jersey can do it with a couple $100, we can certainly do it here. But it starts by believing that there's a different path forward, that we don't have to settle for the same career politicians, and that we can do something different, run a different game plan, and get a better result. What are the questions you have?
No more backroom deals.
No.
Let the legislature do their
The
job.
legislature needs to do their job. The executive should be like some dude in the basement. Okay, that's where the office is. That's where you're supposed to be. The legislature is the most important branch because it's your voice. It's the voice of the people.
Never know that.
You never know that when you have a tyrant like Tim Walz usurping power, and then you have a legislature that's unable to strip it from improvement. That's why I signed the Never Again pledge. The most important thing is to ensure that the people retain control of their states, and that a tyrant, even if they're on the right side, can never again take control. It's not controversial. Act number 1, strip my authorities, declare an emergency. Should be easy.
We need
Why haven't the other career politicians signed that pledge?
We need election reform.
We absolutely need election reform, but we need the help. We need everything to do that. And I think everyone's going to be on the same page for that. We need voter ID and provisional ballots. That's easy. Everyone's on the correct side of that one, but we need to get the right folks in. Ma'am.
How are we going to deal with, voting with such a corrupt system in place?
So when I go to Greater Minnesota, my appeal to those folks out there is you have to put up or shut up. You can't whine about the election thing and not sign up to be an election judge down here. You guys need reinforcements. It needs to come from Greater Minnesota. The election runs pretty clean out there. They need to come down here and serve as election judges. That's the best we can do. It is highly unlikely that we're going to get anything legislatively passed. And I'm going to be a victim of that, so is everyone else that's running in the next election. So what can we do? Work within the system we have. We have good laws for that. Trying to get Antifa Keith to actually prosecute something is going to be a challenge. But we can at least have people at the polls. And that is where everyone needs to sign up to do it. Help. We got to help. And you got to show up and vote. And we have to get out the vote. Virginia showed us that the system's not totally rigged. You can do this, you can win. But they are going to try to have fraud. 90% of the poll watching positions in Virginia were filled. Here, does anyone know the ratio of Democrat and Republican poll watchers?
No.
7 to 1. 7 to 1.
I was just an election judge in Brighton, and I was the only Republican there.
7 to 1. So I'm going to be a little firm on this one. I'm a dad and 3 little kids. Put up or shut up. We got to show up. We have to work. And we need everyone, all our allies in Greater Minnesota to come down here and help us because this is where all the fraud is. Come, bring a combat veteran. What?
What about all the mail-in votes? In so many places up north, they force them to do mail-in votes.
Yeah, mail-in votes are an issue. We have to do what we can in the rare areas we can do it until we get real election reform passed. But we can find the mail-in votes too. Let's do it.
I would say one thing about signing up to be an election judge. You have to sign up
Now.
with a major political party,
Yeah.
not with your city, not with the state, not with the Secretary of State. You have to sign up with a major political party.
Why is that so
They don't
By-
listen to them anyway.
Well, because the law says that by May 1st, they have to submit the lists. The political parties submit the lists. By May 15th, then the Secretary of State has to send those lists out to the county auditors where they get the election judges from. And there's supposed to be party balance everywhere, but there isn't.
Right.
So, I'm just
Because
saying.
they allow clerks to stand in, which the court should not have allowed to stand, but nonetheless have allowed them because they're allegedly nonpartisan, even though they're all partisan. So you have to sign up. You have to sign up now, soon, and you have to declare partisan.
Minnesota Voters Alliance's Supreme Court case is coming up soon. Maybe if we win that about the ballot boards, there are no Republicans on ballot boards accepting and rejecting ballots. So we just had a court of appeals on our Minneapolis case. They hired 102 staff people, union members, to accept and reject the ballots of their bosses. What do you think is going to happen there?
Sure.
I just saw a League of Women Voters posted preliminary a map of redistricting, and they showed how the central cities are going to be below
So,
or booster, you know?
yeah, I mean, we have to have a plan. You know, you're not going to get 30% of the vote, right? You're not going to get 30% of the vote. Our goal, our 25, 10, 5, 10, 15, 25 year plan, BPOU, has to include increasing the minority vote election to election or by small amounts. And eventually there will be a tipping. I think the time is close for folks in those communities that are thoroughly marginalized, have seen crime worse than it's ever been, have seen their schools disintegrate, nothing. Time is right for us to make that pitch because it's going to require people who live in those communities, who are candidates willing to go out there and have those conversations. They're not going to be easy. You're going to get booed off the stage the first 5 times you do it, so you got to show up 6 times. And eventually, it's going to make a difference. The only stories that I can share are the ones that I've had personally. So I used to live in Longfellow, East Lake, you know, and my barber shop was across from Third Priest. And the first time I went in there, they're like, you know, what are you doing? Like that, I showed up. You know, it's not many doctors. And, you know, 10 years later, it's a different conversation. It just takes time. And now I understand that, like, you know, there's you're conservative, and we don't agree on everything, we respect you, we can see where you're coming from, and on quite a few things we actually do agree. So we have to have that longitudinal effort, we have to have candidates willing to engage and not be afraid of running from that in an awkward way. But we can win, but we have to show up. Yeah.
One last question. Understand on the Second Amendment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very strong.
Okay.
Okay, so I carry a pistol every day. All right? Yes. So the Second Amendment's not about hunting, it's not about target shooting, it's just about defending yourself from criminals and your country from tyranny. That's what it's there for. And if you don't have the Second Amendment, you end up like Australia.
And Austria.
And Austria and every other country that's taking away the arms. Number one, any tyrannical regime they do, they take away your ability to fight. We hope it never comes to that. That's a nuclear option, but that's why we have the Second Amendment. So it's about restoring gun rights. They've been taken from us. The Second Amendment is not a second-class amendment. It is equal to search procedure. It is equal to free speech. It's equal to religion, and it ought to be treated like that. In the state of Minnesota, you should not have to ask a sheriff for permission to buy a weapon to defend your family. That needs to go away.
That's right.
We need constitutional carry in the state. You shouldn't be 21 to buy a handgun. You shouldn't be 21 to defend your family. If you're 18, you reach the age of majority, you should be able to do that. So gun rights in this state have a long ways to go, and I would absolutely be a champion. Any other questions for me?
That's very important, thank you.
Yeah.
Second Amendment test. For everything else.
Well, I mean, you're going to get people who are going to say the right thing, but do they actually live it? Right? Do you actually live it? Do you fundamentally believe in it? And can you get up there and explain to people who might be skeptical? Why do you need, air to defend your family? Why do you carry a pistol? Well, because when seconds count, the police are minutes away. That's why. Our primary practice site when the riots got bad, they attacked Walgreens that's pretty close to Chimborazo, right, on 39th, and they were headed over in that direction. My wife and I were listening to the police scanner. The next day we went, there were windows down, it was bad. And I had a rifle at work, body armor at work. I said, look, we're going to get our folks out. We're not going to shut down. We're not going to be terrorized and not doing our job. We have patients to take care of. But we're going to get these folks out and get things going bad. And fortunately, St. Anthony's Police Department, they were parked right around there. But even then, you still have to have that right to defend the folks closest to you. I appreciate, oh yeah.
So just, what would be the one positive attribute that you would say that you have that will set you apart from the other candidates that are general election much crossover as possible?
The one message we found here at St. Andrews when we talked to, what was that?
We're just trying to hear you.
Oh, okay. I'll try to be louder. I can be loud.
Because these guys are really loud.
Downstairs, all of a sudden we can't
So
hear
we had a state fair booth at the state fair. I had a lot of conversations, thousands of conversations with folks from around the state, many of whom were left of center voters. Many of whom said, I would much rather vote for you than continue to vote for Walls, even though I've never voted for a Republican in my life. And they want someone who's actually going to defend freedom, defend liberty, and not just maintain a position in St. Paul. They're tired of the career political class. Period. Left of center, right of center. All they see is a failing of the folks who are more interested in staying in St. Paul than standing up for any central animating set of ethics and morality. That is the single thing that I think distinguishes me from the other candidates, and that is a winning issue. So I hope you guys follow along with us. You have some lit here. One last question.
What the biggest question I got out of the people that were here was about schools. People were talking about this earlier, about critical race theory. They're talking about the war on parents, the war in the school boards, and the war on the schools. And
The Mama Bear Revolution.
So, I'll tell you my personal story on this, okay? So we moved to Mountain View, Irondale District to send our kids to Mountain View, which is historically a good school district. And in 3 years, it fell off a cliff. So we have a third grader, a first grader, and a pre-K. And we made the difficult decision this year. My wife and I are both public school grads from a different era. And we pulled our kids out. And we did an exit interview. So our kids go to Liberty now. We pulled our kids out, did an exit interview. Complete disregard for parents, for special needs kids and gifted kids, for kids across the entire educational spectrum, was so obvious. Critical race theory, it was this gaslighting. Critical race theory doesn't really exist. Well, can you tell me how the Holocaust went away? Can you tell me how World War I and II went away? Have you read the social studies curriculum? No, I haven't read it. They're too busy learning the new math. I don't know what's wrong with the old math. They're too busy with the new math. Our public school systems are in a shambles. And yet, we continue to shovel more money at a failing, racist public school system that seeks to segregate and divide our children. That has to stop. And we need a candidate who's going to get on the stage with Tim Walz and be like, Tim Walz, why are you such a fan of racism? Why do you want to go back to segregating white and black kids? Why do you want to teach these kids to hate? I grew up looking at a colorblind society. That's the way forward. Not division.
That's right.
Not what they want to do. And we can't let them win, and we can't continue to let the public school system get increasing funding every year when they do nothing in return.
That's right.
So we know what the prescription answer to this is. It's vouchers and school choice. Kids have to have the freedom to go wherever they want. We all know what the answer is. The time is to do it now because there's left of center voters who are frustrated with what's happening. They are on our side. They've seen their kids' futures play second fiddle to the needs of the teachers' unions, the desires of the teachers' unions. Walz is too weak to stand up to them. We have the opportunity to crush them on this. And that's what's going to bring the suburbs back. Prime schools. We know what the prescription is. Virginia was a litmus test for that. We need to execute it here. And we need an aggressive candidate who's going to go after them and just hammer on this issue without them. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk to all you all tonight. You're definitely back here. You need a dermatologist just up the road.
Get a picture with our chair.
Let's do it.
Chair.
Where do you want it back?
Adam is the one who's got you here, so thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. You guys are related. You know where to find us online at Neil Shaw MN on social, LikeNeil.com. We need delegates. We need dollars. We need supporters. We need all of you to spread the word.
How many delegates do we have here? There's no be surprised. How many delegates do we have here in this room right now?
There you go. So you have a lot to think about, and you have a very important choice. Who's going to take the fight between the wall and right and left? Who's going to give us the best chance of victory, and who's going to govern in a way that we want? So I appreciate your consideration. Please reach out at any time in the campaign. Thank you for the opportunity. Good to see you.
I'm going right up.